Hello there. Just to check that was actually on. Testicles. Hello there. How are we? So, I had some time this evening. I thought I would come on, talk about a couple of bits and bobs. Always trying to reason, always trying to find the ground of reason with people and offer up who I am. So again, I'm just going to be repeating some things here and trying to simplify things for people, because as always, as time goes on, people get dragged into complexity that doesn't have to be there when we're talking about this question of the earth. Again, what I want to highlight first and foremost, we're talking about objectivity when we're talking about the world of objects, the world that you and I share, the space between you and I. I'm not talking about the subjective realm. The subjective realm has its place, but in a question of objectivity, we have to put that to the side. Okay? I'm not saying there's no place for subjectivity. Of course there's a place for subjectivity, but in a question like this, it is not required. It only brings problems, okay? Because you have people bringing their emotional bias and baggage to the table, and trying to defend and argue from their subjective stance or viewpoint. And also, when we're on social medias and stuff, people get dragged into social groupings, and the social aspects start to play a huge role. People start to lose sight on what it is they're involved in, why they're involved in it, and how we could maybe get some resolve on it. So, just to clarify, I'm dealing totally with objectivity. That is all I'm interested in when we're talking about the dimensions of the earth. What is our reality is the question. So it's an objective question, okay? As I said before, there is a place for subjectivity. People can represent the objective by using their own subjectivity, art, whatever method they want, their emotional endeavour, whatever it may be. You can present objectivity utilising who you are as a subjective entity. But in this case, purely objective. It has to be. It's an objective question. So if we understand what objective means, that's what I'm talking about. The world that exists out with your physical body, that your physical body is a part of, and what your physical body is subject to and interacts with, same as everybody else. Okay? The earth. So, what was I want to talk about again? Basic assumption. So, again, a man like myself goes on practicality. I am not influenced anymore by media, what I see on TV screens, what authority tries to dictate to me, or, any other, external, form of influence. The only external form of influence I am interested in is what the objective world has to offer me. So everybody hears me talking about demonstration. So when we talk about demonstration, let's see, we get a couple of definitions of demonstration. Let me see. Again, I don't really like going to these sources. I don't like to quote, apparent authorities on any subject matter. I like to establish things from my own point of reasoning. And if I'm interacting with you as an individual, I expect the same from you. I don't want you to constantly quote or, offer up what such and such has said and yada, yada, yada. Although I have done it before, just to make some points, but it really is irrelevant to me. I'm a human being who lives right now. I have the ability to discern, I have the ability to reason, I have no bias, whether it be political, religious, anything like that. I am only a curious human being asking questions about what my reality is. And what I'm met by is a swathe of, apparent intellects who want to offer up what they call, proof or, reasons for their beliefs or their statements or whatever it is. When I'm talking about objectivity, I require demonstration. Now this one's offering me give a practical exhibition and explanation of how a machine, skill or craft works or is performed. That to me is probably roundabout right. What I'm looking for is an exhibition of practical, what's your claim? Can you offer up these substances that are part of your claim, and can you demonstrate it to me? So this evening I'm offering up some challenges to anybody who wants to come and challenge my reality. You know that it has to be by way of demonstration. So as I've titled this, from a basic assumption or an axiom, I can deduce the impossibility of a globular Earth. So I'll give you a couple of examples that many of you have heard before, it's particularly from me, and I'm going to utilise water as my first axiom, my first assumption. I know, I understand through practical reference, practical demonstration, and applying what I have found to, my practical lived life, that bodies of water do not take any form unless contained. They will fill the container, and the surface of a standing body of water will be a horizontal, level plane. Level meaning no deviation in elevation from any given point that I start from. From that assumption, I can then apply that to real world practicality. I can level grounds. I can establish level with pretty much anything over any distance. I can make the assumption that any standing body of water will be level upon its surface, unless of course there is motion upon the body of water, whether that be currents beneath, swells, depending on the topography underneath, wind, wakes, whatever it may be. What I don't accept is people trying to tell me that water will conform to forces acting upon it and then offer me up pseudoscientific jargon buzzwords like gravity. Saying gravity does not offer me a practical reference for the claim that you're making. So, that is a basic, it doesn't have to get any more complicated than that. So I go to the natural world, I make my assumption based on what I can observe and what I can test for myself in the natural world, and that is valid. I am not going to throw that out because an image presented to me two-dimensionally through a TV screen, or any other screen for that matter, that contradicts that. That's not how it works in my reality. It shouldn't be for you either. And what I want to reiterate again is that it does not have to get any more complicated than that. Where it gets complicated is where liars with concepts, religious doctrines start to come into the arena, the question, and start trying to, sway people, make them doubt their own sanity by use of language and imagery. It's idiotic, you get things like the Bedford level experiment, where you have a bunch of morons, as far as I'm concerned, using optical devices, which is a total different geometry, trying to look over bodies of water to establish whether they're level or not. The axiom, the assumption, is made before you get to the visual part. Right? The assumption is correct. The assumption can be demonstrated over and over and over again. I do not need to resort to images, optical phenomena. Oh, look, I'm looking over this with my spherical. That's a different geometry. When Euclid, again, I'm quoting these things, but they absolutely mean nothing to me, but I know that to some people it means something. Euclid's postulates, anybody that knows who Euclid was, plane geometry, earth measurement, was established long, long ago. Okay? Was people at that wrong? Were the practical applications for that wrong? What do we get back? Oh, it just works at a local level, it just means it's local. You can't have flat spots on a sphere. It's a geometric impossibility. What other assumptions can I make? Axioms can I start from to understand that the claims that are being put to me in regards to the globular Earth existing in the vacuum of space? Pressure. Gas. Okay. How do I get an understanding there? Okay. I can demonstrate that yet again. How do I create a pressure? A pressure denotes that I need some sort of containment. A lowered pressure in relation to a higher pressure demonstrated tells you that you have to have a solid membrane between the two, or equilibrium will take effect. The two systems will equilibrate. These are two basic axioms, assumptions that anybody can demonstrate to themselves. So the claim that the Earth's a globe with rotund, bending bodies of water existing in a medium that is a vacuum with a pressurised gaseous environment adjacent to the vacuum with no solid membrane separating the two is absurd to practical lived life. Totally absurd. Lunacy. But yet you have swathes of people believing it. Why? Where is that influence coming from? Why are they gaslighting themselves to doubt their own experience of their reality? Systematic repetition through education, through media, through TV screens, newspapers, radio, passed on through generations, where it's repeated continually until it's accepted without question. Well, reality in its practical form is screaming and shouting, staring you in the face. But these people come with hubris, pomposity, false confidence that people like me are retarded. We're the reality deniers. When I'm offering up reality, any statement and claim that I'm making right here and now, I can demonstrate to anybody. And if you're intellectually honest, you know that. So you then have to ask the question, okay, well, why then would people actively be denying it? What is their incentive? What are they invested in? Because it's certainly not for establishing what is objectively true, real world demonstrable fact. That's not their interest. Their interest is to maintain a cult belief, to perpetuate an agenda. How do we know it's a conspiracy? If I'm not really conspiratorial, I'm just a realist. Reality shows me that there's a conspiracy. No persons involved, no influence by any other subjective being. Cold, hard, factual reality shows me beyond any shadow of a doubt there is indeed a conspiracy to perpetuate a false narrative of where you think you are. I've stated so many times before, the reason that is done is a psychological control mechanism. Human beings are no like the other animals. You put a fence around a human being, it sees it. It is constantly trying to find a way to break it, to get over it. If you can convince a human being that there is no wall, no barrier, it's a sphere. You just go running around in circles, 360 every way. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The human being's curiosity is then quashed. If you can get the human being to adopt a false foundation, the human being is blinded from the off. From there you can offer up anything, any delusions, any concepts, any narratives. And because of the bewildered state, human beings will grasp at them and all the various forms and complexities of concept and idea that we have on offer. So, I challenged my own reality when I had a misguided belief, an assumption, willfully ignorant of my reality and what was being presented to me. When I challenged that with honesty, with integrity, I realised very quickly that I could no longer maintain that false belief, because that's what it is, a false belief, an idiotic one. So I'm not interested in the straw manning, the propaganda from this cult or any other cult for that matter. I'm here purely on the grounds of establishing objectivity. I've stated it before, these social media things, YouTubes and whatever else, they're a breeding ground, a quagmire, a trap of social games, psychological warfare. You don't need to get dragged into any of that if you remind yourself what your question is. So anybody can challenge my reality. It's your reality too. What you need is demonstrations for me. Bringing me on to my next point. I invite any of these people to challenge my reality. Here's another challenge. Let's have a true scale model. And in this definition here, all relevant aspects must be accurately modelled, such as material properties, so the model's interaction with the outside world is reliably related to the original object's interaction with the real world. If it's true, if it is reality, you can demonstrate it, model it, scale it. You cannot achieve that with a globular Earth because it is a mathematical concept. It exists two-dimensionally on paper, supported by rhetorical gibberish and images on a TV screen. It's no scientific under the understanding of science as I know it, demonstration, exploration. It's a sophistry. A concept that has been invested in and protected to protect those investments. Breeds an attitude of scarcity. They can tell you stories of scarcity. They can tax you on all sorts and different aspects of reality, claiming that there is scarcity, that it's limited resources, because you're on a delicate potato rock, zipping through the empty void with no rhyme or reason to it. That's a dead-end void for anybody. That's just going to breed dysfunction and mental illness if you actually take on board that you think that's what you're a part of. Intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, you are dead. So build a scale model, demonstrate it to me. I don't know the full dimensions, but I tell you what, I can build a scale representation. I can have landmass, oceans, rivers, lakes. No plastic toy. If I was to claim to you I had invented some engineering marvel or aspect, like some bridge with a special function or whatever, and I started to demonstrate it with plasticine and plastic, you would laugh. You'd think it was ridiculous. But yet, you're willing to believe that your actual reality is some plastic representation on a screen. Some plastic toy that sits on the desk that you can spin, appealing to your childlike intellect. We asked the questions. I've pointed this out. I've highlighted this. This gravity and its interaction with material, matter. How does it affect it? How does it influence it? How does it make it move? Now, gravity pulls stuff towards its centre. How does a concept achieve motion of any object? How does a concept achieve a pulling motion upon objects? The mechanisms of motion require a variance in pressure. That means you apply or remove pressure, one surface to another surface, matter to matter, either reducing the amount of pressure or increasing it. There is no mechanism of pulling forces. Does not exist. But people run about shouting it and chanting it and expect a realist like me to accept it. Some religious buzzwords and phrases. Oi, water bends round spheres cause gravity reasons. These people are morons. Little cult lunatics. Hell-bent on making everybody else as stupid as they are. So, demonstrate, exhibit, practically perform and display physical reality, the substances that you're making the claims about, in its actual form. And scale model accurately using the actual substances that you claim make up this conceptual cartoon world that you think you live on. What I would like to see from globe proponents is some honesty moving forward into the future, if it's even possible. Ask these people what the geometry of vision is. How do they account for it? They're quite willing to shout 2,000 years ago, some guy seen something, and march about the place, banging their fists. Science, 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 2,000 years ago such and such said stuffs. It's fucking lunacy. What else have I been seeing since I came back on a wee bit? Oh, flat earth's dying, whatever. What is flat earth? Good. All these idiotic notions of flat earth if they're dying, brilliant. What's no dying is objective reality. Objective reality cares not a fucking jot about what's happening on social media platforms. Cares not a fucking iota. That's no dying. That's no going anywhere. The sooner these cretins that muddy the waters with ice walls and pizza dishes floating about in vacuums disappear, the better. Because then somebody like me has a better chance of finding out exactly where I am. And I'm going to keep reiterating this with passion and contempt. Because unless we find out where the fuck we are, your whole life is just a delusional mess. If you can look at yourself with honesty and sleep at night knowing that you're offering that up to your offspring, fuck you. You just don't fucking get it. That's your problem. Which leads me in to think that all people are out for is their wee selfish needs and their wee selfish gains. some fucking weak, finite fucking substitute to pacify them for however long it works until they get fed up and look for some other fucking delusion. Where's your fucking spine? People talk about spirituality and all this rubbish. You don't got a fucking clue what it means. I'm all lovey-dovey and I'm spiritual and all that. Fuck off. Get right to fuck. So, flat earth, or whatever the fuck people imagine that is, dying, good. Let's get some fucking realists on board now. This is what I'm talking about. Let me just see here. Let me show you this. This, to scale, the solar system.
Like that. But
that's a fucking marble. That's a marble on a pinhead. That's not a fucking planet. With actual substance. Representing the actual, substance or material or matter that you're professing about. That's a fucking marble.
In reality,
people laughed at me by showing a practical demonstration of how water behaves to the exterior of an object, like on a ball. Right? People thought that was ridiculous. But yet, this is what they try and pass off as intellectual, scientifical, fucking marbles. Oh, let's take an imaginative concept and let's represent it by marbles.
The Earth and Moon are about that far apart.
Oh, I really, How did you establish that, son?
Earth and the Moon to scale. Taking the same concept, but for the solar system, every single picture of
every cartoon image
the solar system that we ever encounter is not to scale. If you put the orbit...
It's not that it's not only to scale, it's not that it's an actual scale model representation of tangible substance. It's utter lunacy trying to make a concept true, clutching desperately for some bias confirmation. Oh look, I can make my marbles fit my wee imagination, therefore it's reals.
It's to scale on a piece of paper.
To scale on a piece of paper. 3-year-olds can draw stuff to scale on a piece of paper. All sorts of funny creatures and different sizes and forms. That doesn't mean it's real.
The planets become microscopic and you won't be able to see them. There is literally not an image that adequately shows you what it actually looks like.
That's because it's retarded, son. Because there is no such place as the vacuum of space with 3-dimensional ball spheres floating about in it. Again, going back to the axioms, basic assumptions, vacuum, dust, particles, whatever you like, gas, in a vacuum, all somehow getting themselves together and compacting. The only way to achieve that is by something pressing on them, forming them. So what do they think? There's an invisible deity running about the vacuum of space, rolling wee plasticine balls, and then heating them up to solidify them? Is that what these people think's going on?
From out there. The only way to see a scale model of the solar system is to build one.
Oh yes, so he's got to build one. Right, this will be great. I've seen this before actually.
This is Alex. I'm Wiley. He's going to be...
See, what you'll notice here is that they're on a level plane, right? So, planar principles are applying here. The geometry that they're utilising, right? And then they're going to show you cartoon balls that are not accurate representations of the substance that they're professing to know about. It's just imagination, rubbish. Geocentric and heliocentric work just the same. You can just swap the sun and the earth. But I'm not interested in conceptual, imaginative nonsense. This is what confuses a lot of globular earth believers, because the narrative of outer space and space balls.
Behind the camera, I'm going to be probably making a lot of mistakes on camera. We have 36 hours to measure the distances, trace out the orbits, and set up a time-lapse shot from up on top.
Measure the distances using planar instruments. How retarded are these people? So anyhow, let's skip a wee bit. Oh, there's Venus and Mercury. Wee plastic balls on the ends of sticks, with circles drawn around them. Amazing. This is a scale model, by the way. Oh, there's Saturn with its plastic rings. Brilliant. How did you establish Saturn as a three-dimensional object? Huh? How did you establish its depth, structure? How did you get any of this stuff? Tell you what, you didn't. You were just born into, a cult who told you what these things were, and you using your imagination, which is very useful sometimes, and it's a very powerful thing that human beings possess, because the power of it can then produce this crap. But this crap, this idea, concept, has power because it can influence gullible people. Influence, vulnerable children who are looking to the adults around them to offer them up factual information, to have integrity, to have honesty. Absolute garbage. So, it really doesn't have to get any more complicated than that. It only gets complicated when you're offering yourself up to be influenced, which means that you don't have any self-esteem. You don't have confidence in your own ability to discern and reason, which tells me that you need to practice it. If you don't practice it, you're going to become influenced by external subjects. I don't even need any language to back up what's been stated here. It's not required. I know I've said this before, but as I said, the truth is under no obligation to change it and entertain anybody. If you're sick of hearing it, fuck off. Away you go with your weak-minded nonsense and look for distraction or entertainment somewhere else. Because I ain't going to fucking change for anybody's insecure weakness. The difference is that I really realise the predicament that I'm in. And I accept it. As soon as you accept it, it becomes comfortable. You still get irate and annoyed, frustrated. But at least I'm not waiting on somebody else to make my mind up for me. And that's what you see on platforms like this. Look at it. People vying for the attention of the gullibles, to offer them up some agenda, some idea or concept that will influence them, while at the same time taking money for them. I'm on this evening. You can still send me an email, the above email, if you would like to contribute or offer anything up. So you can challenge my reality. You understand how a realist operates. A realist requires demonstration of practicality. I'm not interested in concepts he's squiggling on paper. You know? And the challenge is there for any globe believer. Demonstrate your claims. Give me a scale model representation of this globular earth fantasy that you want to be true. Coronavirus, couldn't give a fuck. Probably to implant some image in your mind that the Chinese are disease-ridden fucking undesirables because of something that's coming in the future. Maybe. I don't know. That's what bothers me. It is exciting that there's so much more to discover than being full of pomposity and hubris, thinking, as I say, these narratives, we understand the universe. No, you fucking don't. You don't have a fucking clue. And neither does your priests. They don't have a clue either. They've got invested interests in particular narratives. It feeds a lifestyle for them. That's what they need to know. That's all they care about. They have no concept or care of the influence that they're actually having to the detriment of the individuals who are paying attention to them. They don't care. When you let go of fairy tale certainty, it becomes magical again. The power is now back in your hands for you to explore your actual reality. What do you think your senses are for? To experience three-dimensional, tangible, objective reality. You have the tools. It's up to you whether you use them or not. The only time I hear any of this stuff is on the radio if I get into the car. I pay no attention to mainstream or any of these. I don't even watch TV or movie. I couldn't care less. Right? Coronavirus. I've said it so many times before. This is what happens when we allow order from chaos. When you allow man-made systems to be imposed over the whole. For me, man is not supposed to have a system imposed over him. That's not a true expression of what you are. That's a box for you to be refined and squashed into. Said it before, this order from chaos. That's what it's about. They consider man under no influence or no structure as chaotic. That doesn't mean criminality, murder, rape in the delusional minds of people. That's a perception. Oh, it'd be chaotic, everybody would just be shagging me and try to steal me. That shows you how fucking narcissistic everybody's become. That they think that everybody just wants to shag them and take their trinkets away from them. Get a grip of yourself. You're supposed to be a free-flowing river, a free expression of the infinite, the ultimate, the prime mover. And here you are, living a wee idiotic life, trying to squash yourself into a wee box. Order from chaos. It's only order to those who impose the system, because it suits them. They know how it functions. They reap the rewards. Well, you think you can attain those rewards. You fucking can't. Alright, I'll become a millionaire, multi-millionaire. You're going to be restricted. Your movement will still be restricted. Oh, I can jump in my plane and I can fly to Las Vegas, and then I can go to Spain, and then I can go here. Oh, fucking whoop-de-doo. What does that tell you about your existence? Fuck all. No impressed. Does not impress me in the slightest. What would impress me is you stepping up to the mark and going, here, fuck us. What the fuck's going on here? Where are we? Let's be intrigued once again. Let's explore. Let's get back to a free-flowing expression without the need to impose a system. Let the equilibrium be found. The equilibrium will never be found as long as human beings keep putting their attention to man-made systems. Systems are only imposed by the corrupt. What does a farmer impose a system on the animals for? For his benefit. No for the fucking animals' benefit. For his benefit. People are obsessed because they're insecure, Chris H. It's a cult, it's weak. So when somebody like me, a realist, steps up to the mark, they're intimidated by it, and their only method is to attack it. But they can't attack practical lived life, practical reference, demonstration. They can only attack me, the subjective, which shows you what they're actually about. Hello, Andrew Marshall. My channel, if I go to some of the videos, there's like thousands of comments, or over 1,000 comments. And it's just morons trying to antagonise. These comment sections are a fucking pain in the ass. And people are all involved in them. They mean fuck all, which is why I pay them no attention. They're irrelevant to me and they should be irrelevant to you. But they hope that you get drawn in. How many times do you see it? How many times have you been influenced by a video if you check the comment section before you watch it? But I don't care. Let it be there. Let it be a display. Let people figure it out. Trying to shelter people and hide stuff and delete this and omit that and this, that and the other, that's no help to anybody. What's required for me is that people can discern and see through the bullshit that's happening in the comment sections, on the videos. It's dead simple. Assumptions, axioms. How does water behave? There it is. I can demonstrate it. I know it to be true. Why would you then be influenced? In a way, it's a sign that you have integrity and you have intellectual honesty, because you want to doubt what you think's certain and what you think's true. So you may lend your attention to see what other people have to say about it. But when all they can offer you is words, misrepresentations, false equivalencies, which you have to get up to speed on, then you should be able to see it for what it actually is. Can you imagine you call lifelong mates, family, let's just say the group dynamic is going through some upheaval just now and I haven't said a word. This is a problem, Spirit Long Term, and it just bothers me because the social dynamics, it's always going to be a factor. But, you know, as I said from the off with this topic, it's objective. So people should be catching themselves on and going, hang on a minute, why am I getting dragged into social dynamics? What's going on here? What's at play? Why am I lending my attention to it? If I can't have an honest conversation with somebody without them passing judgment, with their ignorance and whatever, then I just give them no thought. But what happens is people get hurt by it. People become insecure because the drive is attachment and placing relevance upon what other people think of them. As soon as you remove that, your perceptive window is cleansed. Then you can have true honesty. Because you care not about being accepted by anybody. And maybe that's just my life experience, my isolation, my depression, going through that aspect of my life where I learned that. Managed to identify the influences. Maybe I was just lucky my circumstances took me on that path. That doesn't mean to say I can't communicate it and convey it and other people can realise it for themselves, because for me what I'm saying is true. If somebody is saying they're my friend, but they don't have the ability to accept or even to reason with me at a reasonable level, then how could I class them as a friend or anything like that? They become irrelevant to me instantly. Not because I'm cold-hearted or ignorant, just because I've got a respect for myself and I don't suffer fools. I'm not going to waste my energy and waste my time like I've done for years, trying to conform, trying to be accepted, trying to fit in, squashing a square through a round fucking hole. That's what gives you the ability when it comes to things like this to stand up and go, fuck you, I'm not accepting it. And then bring the swathes, bring the billions, bring them on. It's not going to fucking rock me. I couldn't care less. It's a bigger picture going on here. And caring about what other people think or want to be accepted by them. What makes them so special that anybody would want to be accepted by somebody else? That type of mentality is what allows abusers to flourish, to be successful. Because people are offering themselves up freely to be shadowing. Life's easier when you let go of caring about what other people think about you. And again, it's a sign of their weak mindset, the virus that's running within them, that they waste their time judging you and offering up their judgments to try and make you whatever they want you to be. I accept you for what you are. The only thing I ever ask of anybody is honesty. Can't deal with liars. Lying's just a language that has no use. Just brings problems. But that's what social media's done, Leroy, and you see it, especially the last 20 years. Look at people now. They are fucking enamoured by these devices. Smartphones, dumb users. All they give a fuck about is how many fucking likes they've got. How relevant they can appear to be. How successful they can appear to be. Under their definition of success. Viewing this from the outside, it's like a fucking insane asylum. But the occupants don't realise that they're fucking insane. It's bad, Shelley. I mean, it's... People are living their life, you know, it's like transhumanism and all this talk. People are submerging themselves in a virtual world. That's their life. They think reality exists through a fucking screen. Is it any wonder they believe in absurd, idiotic concepts like heliocentrism, Big Bang cosmologies? Aye, smart cities, smart meters, smart cars, dumb fucking users. Oh, I'm no dumb, I know how to press your buttons. Look, I can phone China. Look, I can see China with my phones. That's smart. How does it work? What's the physical, mechanisms of the device you're using? Gives a fuck. Who gives a fuck? Really? Because to me, there is serious fucking, knowledge to be gained there on how this reality actually functions. But all you want to do is see how many likes you got. Oh, look how windswept and interesting I am. I've got 14,000 likes. Oh, I am somebody. I have reached the pinnacle of success. Who told you that's what life is about? Then again, maybe there isn't meaning to life and it's just whatever. So, behaving like that's fair game anyway. Who am I? I pass no judgment. I just see it from my point of view. And from my point of view, it's fucking retarded. It's not healthy. And it's only going to end up in disaster. What was that, Steve HV? What were you about to say there, mate? I missed that. Same as the majority. All they know is how to utilise its function. They don't understand how the tech actually works, what it's based upon, where it emanated from, the chronological sequence of how it advanced. Because it started from simplicity. Yeah, I noticed it years ago as well, not just when Facebook came out. I remember when the first Big Brothers, the TV show, the reality TV show thing came on, and I think it was the second or third series where they started to divide them up, and they had like a prison partition between the two, and they started to play them off, and you really seen the extent of snidey, underhanded behaviour that human beings will stoop to in order to have, the apparent upper hand over their fellow man. Dangle the wee carrots in front of them, offer them stature, power, importance and relevance, and you will see human beings shiting on each other for utter nonsense. So for me, it's been going on way before that. For me, going way back to the inception of this area. This whole area to me is like massive social engineering. I posed the questions before. Look at the different races of people. How did that come about? We all have every living animal and species today came from a common ancestor. Alright, so way back there was some fucking humanoid thing with wings and insect fucking legs and fucking gills and running about the place. And it shagged something. And when it shagged something that, it factioned off, alright, there's a fish now and there's a bird and there's a fish. This is a lunacy that people actually buy into. Let me take your story right to the beginning. How did it start? I don't know. There was rocks and rain and lightning and wee stuffs happened. Protein sequencing and genetic coding all in the right order, all just happened. Then you ask somebody else, it came from space rocks. A space rock from the vacuum flew down and smashed in to Earth, the concept globe Earth, and the wee lifes on the rock spread all about the place or something. That's a shite. And they'll tell you it with a fucking straight face and try and ridicule you for denying it. Aye. Two hairy blob monkeyfish lizards, mate. That's right, aye. That's our common ancestor. All living things came from one common ancestor. I'd love to see that fucker. That's like a fucking, X-Men thing. A mutant. And then they'll tell you, that's exactly what you are. You're the offspring of mutants, and you are a mutant. That came from nowhere, for no name or reason. That as well, Neil W. Aye. There's more stars in the universe than there is grains of sand on Earth. Who counted them? What a guy, or woman, or monkeyfish, squirrel, lizard, humanoid thing. Was it the common ancestor? Did it count all the grains of sand on Earth? What about the updates? What happened after 1,000 years? Surely there was more grains of sand now. Rocks fell apart and stuff. So, I mean, who's keeping tabs on these things? The stars came from nothing as well. Counted them all. They all came from a singularity. A singularity that was nowhere, encompassed by nothing, expanded into nothing. That nothing was like a vacuum, and all the particulates, the dust and the gas, all came together, mashed together, like doing that with plasticine or a snowball, squashed together, and then started rotating around each other and spinning and all that stuff, and hey, that's where we live. Let's go to physics. Vacuums, gas, particulates. Nothing happens. It just all equilibrates instantly. But great intellects, great priestly figures said so. Such and such 2,000 years ago said so. So because it's so far back in the past, and we told you that there were huge intellects, that means subliminally you can't question it. because you're just a moron. You will sit there and you will do as you're told. You will listen to me and you will pass the exams. You will regurgitate on command what I have spewed to you, and then you will put your hand up and ask to perform a basic human function like going to the fucking toilet. And then these same morons are going to sit in front of me and tell me about singularities, common ancestors and other guff that they want to believe is true. Nah, I'm mental. I'm insane. I'm the crackpot, apparently. It's great, isn't it? See how that works? Anytime, Andrew Marshall. So say, anybody can send me an email. So I keep saying, you need to send me an email while I'm on live, because I've got an aversion to emails and long-winded fucking texts and all that stuff. I'm not a typey guy. I'd rather use my fingers to play the guitar. Let me just see here. Jacob, you need to send me an email and ask me for a link. You are spot on when you look at how astrolabes, sextants, equatorial mounts, telescopes function. To me, all prove we are not spinning. Try to stay away from focusing on the luminaries, but we are told these lights are trillions of miles apart from each other, yet they stay in the same position for thousands of years with no parallax. That's just because they're so far, far, far away. That's how, Jacob. So far, 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 massively far away. Very convenient. So I'm billing A-mates as usual. Must be intimidating people or something. You need to send me an email if you want to join me. Kit Canyon, beyond the imaginary curve, derp, lol. When you grow up and pass a physics class, maybe you'll be smarter. What physics class are you going to, Kit Canyon? Which physics class did you go to where they demonstrated rotund, bending, standing bodies of water? Huh? Pressurised gaseous environments with no containment. What physics class was that in? I need a smoke. So hi Mr. Delve. Hello Mr. Christie. Or Mrs. Christie, whatever. Gav, how you doing? Yes, big ass chin mutant that I am. Can't slag me because my ancestor was apparently a fucking complex, amazing creature. Could breathe underwater and everything. Amazing. I don't know about that Las Vegas elite, but when you look at a lot of these mountain ranges and you know, a lot of the topography, it looks as if a lot of it's been mined. You know, tell you all this bullshit about you tectonic plates pushes fucking mountains up and all that rubbish. It looks as if it's been fucking mined to me. It looks as if bits have been dug out and dumped, piled up. I'm just crazy. Yeah. W sent me an email, right? I'm checking a wee second. They're not just sad creatures of habit, they're just trying to drag people into burning themselves out in comment sections. Everybody knows it. The platform's been going for that amount of time and it's live and the invitation's there for anybody. But yet somehow they all just seem to manage to miss me when I'm on live and then descend upon comment sections. Once I'm said, the universe figured out, right? Can't produce a universe. Can't even produce a seed. Still no address, Del. Address for what? You want my home address? Is that what you're asking, Neil? It would appear that way, Steve HV. It's very difficult not to see it like that. They're constantly here. They spew the same rhetorical garbage and they're obsessive with it and habitual and, you know, continual. So you have to ask the questions. I've pointed at this before. You know, I've done it in my past. You know, you get you get into a method of trolling, you know, for shits and giggles, but that, you know, it lasts at maximum a week. We're now 5 years of the same bollocks over and over again from these people. And they know fine well they're being asked to support their claims by way of practical demonstration. It's not difficult. So, you know, as I said before, this is, you know, there's an agenda to perpetuate invested interest here because it's massive. This whole system, this whole structure depends upon human beings' bewilderment. If people break out of that bewildering state of mind and start pursuing their own understanding and their own desire to find out about their reality, these systems of control will crumble. And you get these people claiming they're for truth. I see very little of that. What I see is that people that like to sound like that in order to make themselves some sort of messiah, you know, figure, to milk people for whatever they can get out of them. And again, we don't know the full extent of what we're a part of here. There could be massive measures to protect whatever may be out there or whatever put us in this position. How did we get here? What is this area that we're in? What's beyond it? I think we need both the Las Vegas elite. That is the biggest threat, certainly. People being critical, confident, self-assured, standing on their own 2 feet and not taking anybody's crap is what terrifies them. Because the order from chaos requires stupidity. What's up the eye? The only authority anybody has is when you give them it. Anybody can walk up and impose physical threats on you. But in here, can't touch that. Cannot touch it, which is why they need all the, you know, sneaky little tactics in order to influence the subjective entity. Because putting guns in people's faces and coercing them, you know, overtly is not going to work for them. Because rebellion would happen really quickly. Give me a second. Hi Neil, I'll send you my address, mate. To say, a conspiracy like that doesn't have to be hands-on continually. You get the generations to buy into it. And once you've got one generation that buys into your concept or your belief or your idea or whatever it may be, and you know that they've grasped it and they've accepted it, they will willingly pass it on to the next generation with authority. You don't need gatekeepers constantly at your door, tinkering with the physicality of your brain. Get a human to dangle a carrot, get a human being to accept it and grasp at the carrot, make it relevant, make it important, and then they'll just pass it on to the next generations. That's it, stars and bars. You hold them to that and you'll see them crumble. Well, they shout and bawl that it's scientifical. My words is scientifical. Dale, can we brainstorm ways to start figuring out some ways to estimate numbers of explorers? I think we need 100k. As I said the Las Vegas Elite, I've said it from the very off, I don't have a book for that. I just know that I'm going to make a noise and I'm going to stand up and make a noise and hopefully, others will come to that. As I say, I'm only one man and people end up placing expectancy just because I'm the one that was shouting about it, because that's the only way to resolve it. When I get involved in this, nobody, and you'll never hear anybody saying full exploration. Fuck the globe, full exploration. Never mind flat earth pizza dishes and ice walls and domes and all this gobbledygook. Fuck that. The threat is us getting up off our asses in numbers and saying, fuck you, we're going to find out. So I've always put that out there. But I don't know I don't have the logistical capabilities to achieve any of that. I'm just swinging in the dark and hoping that other people will come to it. I know what I want is the end result. How am I going to get there? I've not got a fucking clue. I don't have a manual to reference. Oh, how do you get fucking a couple 100,000 people to it? Why can't my child see and globe science be like? Because they're blind. But why are they blind? Globe science be like? Because they can't see. Exactly. Full disclosure and full exploration is the only thing. Emerald Rider, how you doing? Spiritual realm is real, Del. It may very well be, concerned citizen. I have my own thoughts on that. As I've stated so many times before, there is a bigger picture here. I don't deny or claim any aspect of that to be true, but I have my own reasoning for why I think there is a bigger picture to what we're a part of here. So people misconstrue me continually. As I say, it's just that because I'm trying to make a defined line and separate objective and subjective. Metaphysics are true. Metaphysics is part of everybody's life. I can't pull my emotions out, my thoughts, my memories, my intuition. I can't pull that out and go, oh, there it's there, look, there's its dimensions and that's what it's made of. But we're talking about the external world of object. tangibility. So it's separate from these discussions, although I like to engage in them. But the point I keep making is, in order to make it clear and concise, to no muddy the waters, is that there has to be a distinct separation. Like, the aspects of spirituality and my suspicions about what's going on here could be made clearer by exploration of the physical. Because that gives you a bigger picture, a bigger scope of what you're a part of, that may open up avenues of or memories that we may have lost or buried that may be in there. I don't know, that was passed on through generations, and because of the situation we're in, we just can't access it. I mean, I don't know. But I have my suspicions that if we had access to a bigger picture of what we're actually a part of here, it would bring some clarity in regards to spiritual inclinations and thoughts that I have. Well, it might double. Last Legacy Elite, we keep hearing all these mantric statements that it's all dying and this, that and the other. But as I keep saying, I know that there's many realists out there. I know that there's many people out there that understand the situation that we're in. So I don't listen to YouTube gurus and think tanks telling me that these numbers and this, that and the other. Fuck that. If I can arrive here and I can see it for what it is, then many, many others have got the same capabilities. And there is many, many others. But then you've got that, again, the social dynamics and the aspects of trust and people suspicious of each other and this, that and the other. And that's why I keep saying, why can people not just put all that subjective stuff to the side? The walk of people will tell you all. Are they focused? Are they promoting the exploration? Are they talking about the objective? Are they deciphering the language? Are they laying it out? Are they getting to the nitty gritty? Well, that's going to be one authorities, one of its last tools would probably be violence, Chip City. I mean, people have got to be realistic about that as well. Exactly, stars and bars. That's what I'm saying about people like yourself. Get it. Because when you discern and you reason internally, you see it, you realise that. It's like the cow realising, no, that cunt's putting a fence round me because he doesn't want me to be free and run away because he's obviously got a fucking nefarious use for me, the dirty deceiving bastard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break out of this fence, I'm going to fuck off, and I'm going to wander about the place seeing what I can find. But as I said, human beings are chained internally by an idea, not by a physical fence, by an idea. That's how malleable human beings are. When they don't have the tools to discern, they just accept stuff and it influences them. This is why I think for me there is a form of duality going on. For me, the mechanistic aspect, the physical being, my body, the brain, the matter, the material, it has its own program. And it's got this ability to absorb and form concepts and relationships and images and habits. And what happens is you as the wee entity in there observing that becomes immersed in it and forgets that it's a separate thing and starts to think that everything that's the physicality is processing is them. You've got the ability to stop at any moment. This for me is what free will is about. Free will is the ability to take control of the machine, to refuse its impulses, to refuse what it's formulating and offering you. That's it, it accepts the idea. Sometimes you feel fear at not knowing where you are. Dagan Morningstar, I tell you what though, I remember that process that I went through, and it feels a lot better than having a falsity. Because no knowing is you on the path to proper understanding. When you've got a false belief in something that's untrue, that's no good for me. And of course, the unknown can be filled with trepidation and fear, anxiety, because it's the unknown. Devin Maggie, I'm from England, live in LA. Come over if you can and let's go up the road to Griffith Park Observatory, ruin folk. I would love to, the Las Vegas Elite. That would be great, but glass checks are not going to get me there. There's only so many ginger bottles that I could collect, I'm afraid. I don't even know if you get 20 pence on a bottle return these days, because I don't drink the shit, so... The ball was the perfect solution to man's inquisitive nature. Of course it was, because it immediately crushed it. Oh, no need for you to explore. We'll tell you where you are. You're on a potato rock. All has been discovered. No more curiosity. Long, long ago, such and such discovered it all. Therefore, go to school. Get these qualifications where we dumb you down so that you can be a cog within our imposed system, and think that you're living the life of Riley. Anyhow, let me see. That video that you've sent me, I can't remember your name, the Black Swan, that looks like BLMS 69, I think the channel was. That looks like his footage of the oil platforms. I've showed that before here on the platform. I'll check it out once I'm off, but I'm pretty sure I've shown that and went through it. There you go, I keep getting these video from spaces live are very, let's see here, that's going to be a fucking laugh. Let's open that up. Let's see. Look at this. Videos from spaces live, and we'll get fucking 2 Star Trek fucking fanatics. What are you talking about?
They can somehow work that back in. I'd love to see where those 2 characters ended up.
Anyone else? Anything they'd like to see?
Look at this.
We know
videos from space. Their very first live Star Trek Picard panel. This is what I'm talking about. These are the cretins.
I really want to see.
These are the types of cretins that will defend conceptual nonsense like globular heliocentric bumf. I bet you I'm ghosted on this. Watch this. If anybody else can get that channel, Go and see if you can see my comment. You'll see it here, obviously, but when you go into it, I'm pretty much going to guarantee that that's not going to be seen. I don't know if they're responding to me. Usually when I go to these NASA video from space type channels, I know that I'm not being seen in the comment sections. Or the chat box, I should say. Anywho, that's the type of rubbish that people buy into. Star Trek. Hey, there's Chris's. Oh, what's happening here? It's went white. You can see my comment. Nice one, 5 arts. That's strange. Usually they can't see them. They've all went blank. Are they finished? Oh, it's done. Ooh. That showed. That's strange. They must have unghosted me. I feel special now. Now I'm going to troll them. Till they ban me again. You don't need to be abusive. You just ask questions. As the Earth a Globe though, and watch the accounts coming from nowhere. Trying to attach straw man nonsense to you. Flat Earth, this, that and the other. Well, I've probably got a copyright strike now or something. Right, I'm off ski pops, people. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow. I'll see. See if I get anything to say, or if anybody's requesting to join me, because I'm bullying mates. Nobody likes me, apparently. I think I should be upset about that. Maybe I should start believing in a globe again. Then I can have pals, people who profess to be my friends and all that. Cheers everybody. Take care of yourselves now. Bye bye.